welcome to a new video. Today I'm taking the Segway Ninebot Max G2 scooter out for a ride. I'm starting at Pope Lick Park. I'll be following the Louisville loop through here. This is part of the Parklands. And I'll be taking this all the way to where it intersects Turkey Run Park. So pretty good distance. I think it's one of those trips to get there by car would take quite a while. But I figured I would check it out on the electric scooter and see how this ride works. And I'm using the Insta360 Go 3 camera. Because I figure I'd see how this works as an action camera. It's a pretty warm day. It's in the mid-80s. But a lot of this has some tree cover, so it should make it a little bit less toasty. Then going over some bodies of water here. I think this trip, when I looked it up on Google Maps, was 6.5 miles. So for me to get there, I'm only going to record one leg of the ride. So I'll record this ride until I get there. And I won't record the ride back because it'll just be the exact same route in reverse. I'm taking it easy through here. Then part of the reason I was taking the Insta360 Go 3 instead of the one of the GoPros or something is if you shoot this in the freeform mode on the camera, in the app you can either reframe the video to a widescreen 16:9 aspect or a full screen 9:16. So if you want to put stuff on Instagram or TikTok, you can record once. If you want to put it on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, you can record once and then export and reframe to fit the various modes. And you get a little bit better view on the reframed, 9:16 than if it's just a standard widescreen 16:9 image you crop into, because it gets more of the sensor, so you're not actually just having a tiny slice of an overall wide 16:9 image. So that's one reason I was testing this out in this scenario. I was also wanting to see what the battery life is like, because I have just the little Go 3 small camera on the chest mount. So I was just going to see how long this battery lasts. It's one of those things where, too, if you take stuff like this out, you will get some people looking. But don't really care if I look kind of goofy. You know, you take a normal bike out here, you just walk on foot, nobody cares. See a lot of e-bikes come through here too. And this is one of those places where if you're on a scooter, e-bike, one wheel, electric unicycle, you know, the EUCs, whatever you're on, as long as you ride sensibly, people probably don't care or have anything to say. A scenario where you probably would have someone commenting what you're doing is if you have a group of people on some of the more dirt bike looking e-bikes riding in a large group taking up the sidewalk. Then you might have somebody say something. But if you're being reasonable, giving adequate space, not going too fast, I don't think people tend to care too much. There's a body of water, a creek or something that runs parallel to this. This is part of the Louisville Loop, so there is a loop of trails. So, you know, I think the goal eventually is to connect it across the entire city. So you could theoretically start, you know, in Shively, off Dixie Highway or something, and then end up in Prospect. But it doesn't go all the way there yet. There are long stretches and then sections where it disconnects. Some more bridges through here. Wait to pass until there was an opening where I could see up ahead. Because people will zip around corners going very fast on bicycles, on foot, you know, kind of any way they can. Especially kids on kick scooters, non-electric ones. I've encountered a few times riding my standard bicycle where I have a pretty strong habit of making sharp 90-degree angle turns directly in front of you with no warning. So you gotta be careful, not go too fast. And I know I read too on Reddit, one of the subreddits about these different scooters, people had talked about the this Max G2 overheating if you're not a pretty light rider. So I figured I'd test that out. Again, it's about, I think the temperature was around 85 maybe. So pretty hot, not a complete scorcher, but then when you're on pavement, obviously it's a little bit hotter because the pavement reflects the sunlight and absorbs it. Now this is nowhere near as bad as asphalt that cars are going over. You know, you have all the heat from the cars as well. Now I've watched videos of people using some of the higher powered scooters. Zipping through trails like this that are much more crowded very, very fast. I personally wouldn't really recommend doing that, because I was riding an electric scooter about a year ago and wasn't going particularly fast. Wasn't even really on a path that had many people on it. I think I only saw like maybe 1 or 2 people the entire time I was going. And it was the Segway Ninebot Max, the original one. This is the G2. The original one's a little bit slower, a little bit less powerful. So I was riding that. I was not going fast. I was maybe doing, I was doing less than 15 miles per hour. Not exactly sure what happened, but at some point I crashed. And got knocked unconscious and had a concussion. And it cracked the orbital bone in my face in a few places. And I was wearing a helmet, so if I wasn't wearing the helmet, it probably would have been quite a bit worse. There's some water. So yeah, not quite sure what happened. I wasn't doing any stunts or anything crazy. I was just going on a paved path. So, just a word of warning, you gotta be careful. And I wasn't, like I said, I was wearing a helmet. If I wasn't wearing one, it would probably have been quite a bit worse. And it was not a full face helmet. So if you're in the area and you want somewhere you can go on a bike, on foot, on something electric, and you want to get a nice ride in, you can go through the Parklands. Because like I said, the section I'm going through, I'm going from Pope Lick Park to Turkey Run Park. It's about a 6.5 mile ride. But you can keep going all the way to Broad Run Park that comes back out to Barstown Road in this direction. And that's quite a few more miles. So if you want to go from Turkey Run Park to the Sky Meadow and then the Silo Bike Center, then you can keep going to Broad Run Park, and then you can go all the way through Broad Run Park. Like I said, I started at Pope Lick Park, so if you go the opposite direction, you can go from Pope Lick Park to Beckley Creek Park, which is a good distance. So, you can have a pretty decent distance, including the round trip return, more than 20 miles if you take this path. Now, even though it's sunny out and it's hot, a lot of this is in the shade, which I think makes it come out to be a little bit cooler. And this is just where, when you have a little bit of traffic jams, you got to be careful. Like, I wouldn't go full speed and take this blind turn trying to get around. That would be asking for trouble.
Back down one more.
All right. On your left.
Get over on the right.
Oh. All right. Yeah, so that's an example where you gotta be careful, because the number one thing that's going to make people get upset at whatevers, bikes, scooters, anything on these trails is if you take it too fast and wreck people. Oh. So getting closer to Turkey Run Park. This is another example. This is a downhill turn. Oh, sorry. So I think I'm getting closer. So know if people like to do cycling and have somewhat, uninterrupted trips. You're not dealing with traffic and stoplights and everything. This is a place you can go. Just taking into account at certain points you will need to slow down, not crash into people. Just be a little bit, be courteous. So 1.4 miles to the Seatonville paddling access, I think, or maybe it's just the trailhead. And this thing has a horn, but it's like a loud beep, and it obviously works and it's loud enough, but I think it's mostly just going to startle people because it doesn't sound like what a typical bike horn is, because it is this. So people may not know what that is and do the exact opposite of what you want, getting in your, jumping into your way or something. But this is still an improvement because the prior model, oh, there's a deer up ahead. Hopefully there's not any more. Don't want to disturb the deer. Yeah, but with the original Ninebot Max scooter, it just had a little bell thing that you could twist on the handlebar and it would ring, which was fine. Just the problem with that is that while you're riding, it can make a little bit of noise. Vibrate when it's vibrating from riding, it'll make a little bit of noise. As opposed to this thing's pretty whisper quiet. It doesn't make much noise. And even though the top speed is only a little bit more, so out of the box, this thing's top speed is 20 miles per hour. And the Ninebot Max was 18.6. And if you want, you can go in the app and adjust the top speed up an additional 2 miles to 22 miles per hour. So the top speed, if you leave it at the standard settings, it's, 1-2 miles per hour. If you up it, it's, 3 to 4. Not a huge difference, but the motor in this thing is way more powerful. Feels like it has way more oomph. Doesn't feel as it feels less sluggish and more powerful than the old one. There's a creek alongside here. And this is getting pretty close to the Seatonville Road access point for Turkey Run Park. It's a pretty nice, smooth little ride here. It's not too busy today, not too hot. I'd like to come here for a sunset ride. I know they said that the park closes at dusk, so I need to investigate where all they close up the various parking lots and areas. Because of this thing, even if they close parts of the trail off, you can, fold it up and push it under, or lift it up and carry it over something. So it would be the biggest problem in the world if they lock something. But the car would need to be parked somewhere I could still get to it and get it out. But I think it would be fun to come through here to like a sunset ride. So I'm getting pretty close. Turkey Run Park. Oh, I had the turn signals turned on for some reason. Yeah, so I'm almost there. So I had done a ride before. Starting at Turkey Run Park and going to the Silo Center, I believe. I forget exactly where all went, but I went on a ride before on a different scooter and recorded it. This is just getting, you know, a different route. So Turkey Run Park is a place you can go if you want to go kayaking or canoeing. You can launch from there because they have paddling access for kayaks. I guess you could bring a canoe. It's usually just kayaks, but a human-powered boat that's relatively small and can be carried to the water. Yeah, so now I'm not going to continue going on this route because it goes further than I would like to go. This is the paddling access where you can launch your boats, canoes, kayaks, paddle boards, stuff you can carry. Because as you can see, there are stairs down here. There's not a ramp, so you could not bring an actual full-size boat. So yeah, that was taking this Segway Ninebot Max G2 scooter. Taking this for a ride through the Parklands. I started at Pope Lick Park and went to Turkey Run Park. Now I'm here at the paddling access area. But yes, that was taking the scooter out for a ride. Until next time.